And then I mean, put it set on that you're calling somebody crazy. Then every day you put yourself on YouTube. Every day you put yourself on YouTube. Tell you there again, you put yourself again. And you go tell somebody say, every day the person see you on YouTube. But then you say you know that you're crazy. You think that you sound just a normal human being. But then you say you some kind of normal human being. Representative David Creature, U.S. Representative David Creature. I'm taking a lunch break at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I've been very busy in the office. U.S. House of Representatives and elders. We are working on the House of Representatives. What are they doing? Oh, we're not again.
The members en masse. So all of members elect will rise, and the chair will now administer the oath of office. And the Constitution of the United States, against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which you are about to enter, so help you God. Congratulations, you're now a member of the 113th Congress.
But early on at the president's direction, we brought in these incredible commercial labs. We partnered with these extraordinary retailers. And now we stand here today, literally one day last week, more than 200,000 tests in a single day. About the time that we were making those comments, we'd done less than 25,000 tests in the entire country. But we've met this moment with American ingenuity, the incredible companies that are represented here. We couldn't be more proud. Follow up, Mr. President. I think it's very important to know, and this you can get from any other country. I think if they're being honest, not only have the most tested in the world by far, but we have by far the best tested. OAN, please go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you. I'd like to switch gears and talk about the report circulating now that you may well be fully exonerated this week. If that were the case, is there any reason why you would not come back into the this week?
I will only say this. I think that General Flynn is a wonderful man. He had a wonderful career, and it was a disgrace what happened to Flynn. Let's see what happens now. But what happened to General Flynn should never happen again in our country. What happened to other people should never happen again in our country. What happened to your President of the United States should never again be allowed to happen. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, thank you. Today, one of your top economic advisors, you said that the U.S. is likely to experience a 20 to 30% decline in the GDP in the second quarter, the worst since the Great Depression. Do you agree with that?
I don't know, but I can tell you the third and the fourth quarter in particular are going to be, I think, spectacular. We were talking about it with the executives. I think we're going to have a phenomenal third quarter. Nobody, except one country can be held accountable for what happened. Nobody's blaming anybody here. Looking at a group of people that should have stopped it at the source. But so what happens in second happens in second. What we are doing is, I think you're going to see a big rise in the third, but you're going to see an incredible fourth quarter, and you're going to have an incredible next year. I think you're going to have a recovery. Look, they were just telling me inside, and it's fact. I built the greatest economy with the help of 325 million people. I built the greatest economy in the history of the world. One day, because of something that should have never been allowed to happen, we had to close our country, we had to close our economy. I built it. We had the best employment numbers and the best unemployment numbers for Hispanic American, for African American, for Asian American, for everybody. Best stock market numbers. By the stock market was up very substantially today, and people are seeing a lot of good things. A lot of very smart people investing in the stock market right now. It's at 24,000, approximately 24,000. And if you would have said, with the tragedy that this country had to endure and go through, with all of the death and the people that died and were so badly hurt by what happened, and you can only say God bless them, but if you would have said that our country would be in the position we're now, we're ready to never forget loved ones, will never forget these great people that sacrificed for a reason of incompetence or something else other than incompetence, what happened at a point where they could have protected the whole world, not just us, the whole world. But we had the greatest economy ever in the history of our world. And I had to turn it off in order to get to a point where we are today. And now we're making a comeback. And I think we're going to have economically, from an economic standpoint, next year an unbelievable year. And I think that you're going to see a fantastic fourth quarter. And the third quarter will start to build. But the second quarter, obviously, you're going to have GDP, lack of growth. Looking at the head of Walmart, what a job Walmart's done in going through something. I mean, they were doing yeoman's work, including getting us millions of really very, very protective outfits. And I mean, the job that Doug and Walmart did was incredible. Millions of outfits. And those are high quality. I've seen them. Those are high quality. That's what we need. So people have stepped up to the plate. I think we're going to have a really good, I think it's going to start building. I think it's going to build fast. I think it'll be a tremendous, tremendous comeback. And, you know, so I say, I built the greatest economy with all of the people that helped me and all of the people in this country. We built the greatest economy the world has ever seen, and we're going to do it again. And it's not going to be that long. Okay. Yes, please, go ahead.
Mr. President, opening up the country, how long will you keep up the travel restrictions for you?
Well, we're looking at that, and it depends on how long it's taking Europe to heal. Italy is starting to make a comeback. I'm very happy to see that with my friend, the Prime Minister. It's tragic what went on in Italy and Spain and France and frankly in every country over there. It's tragic. But we'll be looking at what's happening in Europe, and certainly we want to do that, and they want to do it too. They want to do it very badly. Yeah. Say it.
Any update on Kim Jong-un as responding to your letter from March?
Kim Jong-un? I can't tell you exactly. Yes, I do have a very good idea, but I can't talk about it now. I just wish him well. I've had a very good relationship with Kim Jong-un. If I weren't president, you'd be in war. You would have been in war with. I hope he's fine. I do know how he's doing, relatively speaking. We will see. You'll probably be hearing in the not too distant future. I have one or two more. Go ahead.
Yeah, a question about the 2020 election. Yeah. Your likely Democratic opponent, Joe Biden, recently suggested that you were considering changing the date of the election, that you might try something like that. That's my first question.
I never even thought of changing the date of the election. Why would I do that? November 3rd. It's a good number. No, I look forward to that election. That was just made up propaganda, not by him, but by some of the many people that are working, writing little statements. I see all the time, statement made, you say so, statement made per Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe. He didn't make those statements, but somebody did. But they said he made it. No, let him know. I'm not thinking about it at all. Not at all. So go ahead at the back, please.
Bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee came out with the fourth installment of this report. It concluded that Russia interfered in the 2016 elections. There was not political bias to accept these conclusions.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen the report. Yeah, please, go ahead.
President, nice to see you. I think you have a good relationship with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. But last Saturday, Senator Diayen, he mentioned in Fox News, he said that
he didn't say anything last Saturday.
So,
Nobody knows where he is, so he obviously couldn't have said it. If you have this is breaking news.
yeah.
That Kim Jong-un on Saturday, I don't think so. Okay, go ahead. Let's do one more, please, in the back.
more Americans over the course of 6 weeks than died in the entirety of the Vietnam War. Does he deserve to be reelected?
So, yeah, we've lost a lot of people, but if you look at what original projections were, 2.2 million, we're probably heading to 60,000, 70,000. It's far too many. One person is too many for this. And I think we've made a lot of really good decisions. The big decision was closing the border of people coming in from China, obviously, other than American citizens, which had to come in. You can't say you can't come in, you can't come back to your country. I think we've made a lot of good decisions. I think that Mike Pence and the task force have done a fantastic job. I think that everybody working on the ventilators, you see what we've done there, have done unbelievable. The press doesn't talk about ventilators anymore. They just don't want to talk about them, and that's okay. The reason they don't want to talk, that was a subject that nobody would get off of. They don't want to talk about them. We're in the same position on testing. We are lapping the world on testing, and the world is coming to us. As I said, they're coming to us saying, what are you doing? How do you do it? We're helping them. So, no, I think we've done a great job. And one person, I will say this, one person is too many. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Why Americans have to go to South Korea to get 500,000 tests?
All right, we've been listening to President Trump at a news conference in the White House Rose Garden. He began with prepared remarks saying that there are signs of progress. He said, quote, things are moving along, but with the death toll from now at more than 55,000 in the United States, the president also said, we continue to mourn with thousands of families across the country. We grieve by their side as one family, this great American family. Now, he also brought up testing, saying that the United States has conducted more than 5.4 million tests, almost more than twice the number, he said, of any other country. For context, the population of the United States is about 330 million people. He also at one point said this, quote, so much unnecessary death, he said, it could have been stopped and it could have been stopped short. Somebody decided a long time ago not to do it that way. President also brought up the projections towards the end of the news conference there. We heard him say regarding the estimated death toll, quote, we're probably heading to 60,000 to 70,000. I think we've made a lot of good decisions. Let's go ahead and bring in Meredith McGraw. She is a White House reporter for Politico, and she was watching that briefing along with us. Meredith, thanks very much for being with us. Let's first of all talk about this issue of testing. We heard the president say he wants these states to open up quickly but safely. He thinks a lot of schools, he said, will open up, even if it's for a short time, rapid but safely, he said. Experts say that ramping up testing is critical for reopening. So what do these new national guidelines that the president and the White House have released suggest about the administration's strategy?
Well, the administration has faced really a deluge of criticism over their testing strategy and their lack of getting enough testing kits and issues with the testing kits when they have been deployed to the states, especially early on when they're responding to this virus. And one of the things that they're doing with introducing these two
provides you with an update in our war against our comprehensive strategy and extraordinary devotion to our citizens.
And yeah, they got nonsense that I mean, the other one more. Oh yeah, the email.
Criticism over their testing strategy and their lack of getting when they have been deployed to the states, especially early on when they're
Yes. I am United States representative, and we are at war with fighting the rebels here in California. fighting war here. Yeah, we need more troops. That's why I ran for representative to represent the people here of the United States. Representative David Glikia, they call me David Glikia, Representative David Glikia of the United States. And we are live here. Thank you, God bless. We are seeing it. Yeah, so we are at war with ourselves. U.S. Democrats and
we are in a generational defining moment for our country. And what we're doing here, is not just determining the kind of tax code we're going to have.
Yes.
What we are doing here is determining the kind of country we're going to have.
What country?
And right now,
what?
because of this anemic economic recovery,
Yes.
I mean, don't forget, we had the worst recession in our lifetimes in 2008.
That is a lie.
And ever since then, this economy has been way under its potential. This economy has been growing at a limp 1 to 2%. And you know what that means for hardworking taxpayers? You know what that means for Americans?
Different countries.
Nobody gets a wage increase. Living standards are stagnant. Economic anxiety is high.
Yes.
78% of our workers in this country today are living paycheck to paycheck.
It's a lie.
Most Americans say that they don't even have $500 in their bank account for an unexpected emergency or an expense. This is the economic anxiety that's for real in this country today. Instead of thinking about getting ahead, they're just struggling to get by. Think about all the moms and the dads and the hardworking taxpayers going to bed tonight, not sleeping, worried about
don't worry
what comes next week.
People are fine, but you are.
This is not how it should be. This is not how it is in this country traditionally.
This is how it is in the country.
We need to restore growth. We need to restore opportunity. We need to restore this beautiful thing we affectionately call the American idea. Passing this bill is the single biggest thing we can do to grow the economy, to restore opportunity, and help these middle families.
Okay.
People always ask, well, what's in it for me? You know, how do I benefit from this?
Wait a minute. I mean, I'm
a chart guy. Why is this important?
Yes.
What this shows you under this plan, the average family at every income level gets a tax cut. A tax cut at every average level.
Okay.
And what this chart shows you, the people here who are struggling, the people here who are in middle income brackets, the people here who are low income trying to become middle income, they get the biggest tax cut. This plan is good for people of all walks of life, across your country. And the bigger relief goes to those who need it most. Let's put it into numbers. A typical household of 4 people. They make $59,000 in this country. That family of 4, $1,182 tax cut first year alone. The median family income, mom, dad, 2 kids. The median family income in America today is $87,000. That family will get $941 cut right away, year 1. So if you're one of those 57% of Americans who say you don't even have $500 to go to an emergency, this really helps you. Let's talk about those people who itemize their taxes, who live in high tax states. Let's talk about maybe a couple making $115,000. living in a high-tax state. Let's say they've got $8,400 in a mortgage interest payment and $6,900 in property taxes. They can still write all of those off under this plan, and they will still see a tax of $1,130. If they got kids, an even larger tax cut. Not only do people get to keep more of their own money in their own pocket, but we dramatically simplify the tax system. We make it more fair. Today, 7 out of 10 Americans don't itemize their deductions. That means 70% of Americans take what we call the standard deduction for their taxes. And it's just that, it's standard, it's straightforward. You're not taxed on that income. But over the years, Washington has piled on special interest loophole after special wealthy who are well-connected, who can afford all the tax lawyers and all the accountants to navigate the tax code so they can get a good deal. But if you're not in that group, if you don't have the lawyers and the accountants, and you're just scraping away in your middle income, you don't get those deals. So what we want to do is take those loopholes away, make it fair for everybody, lower tax rates, and make it easy. Here's how easy this gets. We're going to make it so easy that by doubling the standard deduction, 90% of Americans, 9 out of will be able to fill out their taxes on a form the size of a postcard. And what this means is, for a single person, you don't pay taxes on your first $12,000 of income. For a married couple, you don't pay taxes on your first $24,000 of income. And here's the basic philosophy. Instead of jumping through all the hoops that the IRS puts in front of you, instead of doing what the special interest groups say you need to do in order to get some of your money back, we basically say, keep your money in the first place. It's money. Do what you want with it. All of this is about tax relief. It's about fairness. It's about simplicity. It's about easing the stress and anxiety that's in this country. But what we really need to do is we need better jobs, more jobs, faster economic growth, higher wages. And this brings us to the way we tax ourselves as businesses. This brings us to, what do we do to make America the most competitive place? Here is the real problem we've got when it comes to the way we tax our businesses. We're the worst in the world at it. We right now tax our businesses at the highest corporate tax rate in the industrialized world. What does that do? Well, let me give you an example where I come from. In Wisconsin, the example is Johnson Controls. Johnson Controls is a company with a history dating back in our state to the 1880s. It was the biggest company we had headquartered in Wisconsin. Not anymore, because Johnson Controls is an Irish company, and their Irish tax rate is 12.5%. This is happening all over. Companies, just to stay competitive, are becoming foreign companies. And when the headquarters of that company leaves your hometown, when the headquarters of that business and that employer leaves your state and goes to another country, there goes the United Way campaign. There goes the white-collar jobs. There goes the manufacturing. There goes the research and development. There goes America's competitiveness. What's worse is all these foreign companies are buying U.S. companies because it's cheaper because of taxes. So here's what we do. Instead of being the worst in the pack, we leapfrog ourselves by bringing that tax rate. Because guess what? When you tax your businesses at much, much higher tax rates than our foreign competitors tax theirs, they win and we lose. We got to stop losing. We got to start winning. That's what this does. What's even more impressive about this is it lowers taxes for those small businesses, those mom and pops, even more. So we got to make sure that our businesses, the job creators of America, have every incentive to stay here, have every incentive to build here, have every incentive to hire here. And what's more, we're finding that by doing this, we're going to get faster growth, we're going to get more jobs, we're going to get higher wages, better take-home pay. Let me just break it down in simple numbers. Tax Foundation, they ran the numbers. Nonpartisan Tax Foundation said With this bill, we'll get faster growth, about 3.5% faster economic growth, about 890,000 new jobs. They estimate that in New York State alone, 57,834 new jobs. Wisconsin, 17,999 new jobs. California, 422,000 new jobs. Texas, 74,037 new jobs. And you get these new jobs when you grow this economy. You pass this bill, you grow this economy. And so why do we do all of this? Because it's about giving people more take-home pay. It's about raising wages. It's about helping families who are struggling to get ahead. It's about getting Washington out of the business of picking winners and losers and giving the American people the kind of economy they deserve, the kind of economy we can have. This just shows you that across every income scale, across the board, wages will go up because we're going to grow the economy. And most of the wage growth goes to the people who need it most, people who are in the middle, people who are struggling. That is why we're here. Right now, we are in the middle of a long day where people are working tooth and nail in their jobs. We are right here in the middle of a day where America's workers are trying to figure out how they're going to they're trying to keep up with everything. Those people, the hardworking taxpayers of this country that we represent, that is why we're here. This is why we're doing this. They are the foundation of this country. We're here today for them. The special interests are trying to protect their piece of the pie. All the negativity you see out there, there's probably a special interest group back there trying to keep their special niche in the tax code. It is fine time. It is high time. We root that out. We don't settle for the status quo. And we give people the kind of tax code that they need and they deserve. It has been 31 years since we last did this. And it is finally time that we get the general interests of this country to prevail over the special interests in Washington.
Yeah, the United States problems. I mean, this kind of thing, I mean, that's why they shouldn't have started war with us. Oh, yes. But you see, they go start war with us. They go start a war with us, and that's why I've been a representative for 12 years, and I've been in the House of Representatives. I talk with GOPs, FBI, and Secret Service, even with President Donald Trump. So I know that they want the war to stop. They were forcing them to not bring food, to not have food and water. But who fault is it? I mean, it's all their fault. I don't have any fault in that kind of thing. Oh, yes. I say representative. I've been representative for a long time. I work with people from foreign countries. You know, you hear Donald Trump talking about US, talking about the
For more,
US.
let's bring in Benham Ben Talabou and Ben Tracy. Benham is a senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of democracies. Ben is a CBS News White House correspondent traveling with the president in West Palm Beach, Florida. Ben Tracy, first to you, how is the president responding to this? And was the administration taken by surprise?
Yes.
This does seem to have caught the White House off guard, and the president did respond very quickly, very early this morning. Just after 7 o'clock, he sent out a tweet, which is his favorite form of communication. In that tweet, he said that Iran is orchestrating an attack on the U.S. Embassy. They will be held fully responsible. He went on to say, we expect Iraq to defend the embassy, and they have been so notified. Now, we also know that the Secretary of State followed up on that. He called the Iraqi president, the Iraqi prime minister, and reiterated the expectation of the U.S. that the Iraqi forces help protect that embassy. A little bit later on, the White House press secretary released a statement that vaguely stated as to how and when the U.S. responds to what the White House is calling an escalation on the part of the Iranians.
Benham, former National Security Advisor John Bolton tweeted, saying, quote, the attack on the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad is straight from Iran's playbook in 1979. It's a sign of Iranian control over Shia militia groups, not a sign of Iraqi anti-Americanism. We must protect our citizens from Iranian belligerents. Is Bolton right? And if so, what is the benefit here for Iran?
Great to be with you. That's what by the former National Security Advisor is absolutely correct. It is 100% on point here. This is tried and true from the Iranian playbook. The Islamic Revolution in 1979 was quickly followed with the hostage taking on November 4, 1979 that led to a 444-day hostage crisis. In October of this year, the editor-in-chief of a hardline newspaper in Tehran recommended Iraqis do exactly what the Iranians had done to the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, to the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. So this is absolutely from the Iranian playbook. The Iranians have a strong amount of control over many of the militias in the PMU, in the popular mobilization units. When you look at the videos, you see a lot of the flags that carry imagery that is linked to Iran's Islamic Corps. These are Iran's agents of Iraq, and it behooves Washington to step up, protect its assets, protect its interests, as well as protect its allies and partners abroad from the retribution of these agents of influence.
Ben, up until now, sanctions have really been the main measure taken against Iran on military strikes. So remind us what the Trump administration's policy actually is.
Well, it's hard to tell what the policy is, and if there's going to be any sort of shift now that this has taken place. You'll recall that the president has been very reluctant to want to get into any sort of military conflict with Iran. He has a very well-articulated and strong aversion to these wars in the Middle East, which he often derisively calls wars over sand. So this is not something President Trump wants to get into quickly, so he has relied on sanctions. But I think when you look at that, you have to say sanctions really haven't gotten the desired results here if it's to get Iran to back down. Back in June, there was this moment where it appeared that the president was ready to take military action. That's when Iran had shot down a U.S. surveillance drone, and there were plans drawn up at the Pentagon and the White House, and the president pulled back on it at the last minute and reverted to sanctions. So these airstrikes that took place earlier this was really the first time where we were seeing military force being used. And I think the reason for that is because you did have a dead American, and the feeling was that there had to be some sort of response. Where we go from here, we don't know yet. The White House is being very vague and giving the president a lot of leeway for a lot of options.
Well, Ben, as Ben just said a moment ago, critics of the president say that the president's approach to Iran has been a failure because regional provocations have escalated and the country is listening to its nuclear program. What is your assessment?
Well, this may sound perverse, but the uptick in regional provocations, as well as Iran's gradual leaving of the 2015 nuclear deal known as the JCPOA, is a perverse measure of success of the sanctions policy. Iran did not expect Washington to be able to do unilaterally in about a year's time what took multilaterally about a decade of time to do, and that is to replicate all this pain against the shipping sector of Iran, the energy sector, Iran's oil sales, and have this macroeconomic contraction
on almost every level of the economy. The max pressure policy the president has implemented for the past year or so is a strategy of cost imposition. It's supposed to make these public to fight these regional wars with one arm tied behind its back. So it's leading the Islamic Republic, and because the Islamic Republic is bleeding, it's lashing out in an attempt to stop the sanctions. Now, what's happening right now is there's a game of chicken. Washington is probably going to escalate the sanctions in 2020, and Iran is probably going to escalate its regional belligerence in 2020, and Iraq looks like it's going to be a key feature.
Brendan, Ben, Talabu, and Tracy, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. BBC News.
For more, let's bring in Ben Talabu and
Thank you. God bless you. We are waiting for the president here. What? Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump. All right, let's hear what President Trump want to say.
As long as I'm president of the United States, Iran will never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. Good morning. I'm pleased to inform you the American people should be extremely grateful and happy. No Americans were harmed in last night's attack by the Iranian regime. We suffered no casualties. All of our soldiers are safe. Generally, minimal damage was sustained at our military bases. American forces are prepared for anything. Iran appears to be standing down, which is a good thing for all parties concerned and a very good thing for the world. No American or Iraqi lives were lost because of the precautions taken to disperse our forces and an early warning system that worked very well. I salute the incredible skill and courage of America's men and women in uniform. For far too long, all the way back to 1979 to be exact. I don't believe that. Nations have tolerated Iran's destructive and destabilizing behavior in the Middle East and beyond.
I mean, you would not believe this kind of things that President Trump said. The U.S. did well in certain countries. I've been working as a representative for a long time with the U.S. Senate here. This is a provocative act of President Trump. These are not true. We won the war. We killed so many of them. Rebels. I don't believe this is provocative. Let's hear from him again. Okay.
Donald Trump has attacked Hillary Clinton for supporting the war in Iraq while saying he opposed it strongly quite early on. And as evidence, he points to a profile of himself in Esquire magazine.
This is a quote. Look at the war in Iraq and the mess
we have defeated the war.
Right after the war started. I would never have handled it that way. Does anybody really believe that Iraq is going to be a wonderful democracy.
Okay.
Where people are going to run down to the voting box and gently put in their ballot.
Okay.
And the winner is happily going to step up and to lead the country.
So when did those words? Let's go to the timeline, and we'll start with September of 2002.
Everything
Let's talk about possible and Trump was on the Howard Stern show. This is what he said.
Listen.
Are you for invading Iraq?
Yeah, I guess so. I wish it was. I wish the first time it was done correctly.
So we move through the holidays and we move into March 20th. The ground war begins, and the very next day, Trump says that it looks like a tremendous success from a military standpoint. But less than a week later, he tells the Washington Post the war's a mess.
President Trump is once again praising the U.S. for being a war hero, which is just provocative. That's how he put all this provocative act together. That's just nonsense. President Trump don't believe this. Yes. This is some of President Trump legacy, so-called legacy. You see, he just want to make himself to look good. That is President Trump. I mean, I've been the U.S. representative, and I should tell you that this guy is not fit to be president of the United States. I am more of a president. I should have been president of the United States. Yes. Oh, yeah. Shoes, my clothes, and everything. Different cars. When I'm going, I go and call for something as a representative. I'm more better than President Trump. You see all my cars. I own all these vehicles. All of these vehicles. These are all my cars. This is my mansion here. I think now you can see. these are all things that probably not true, but the war that been going on. Not true. This is another one. The U.S. is at war, and we at war. Our mission is to take out President Trump from power. We want to take him from power. If he continues to stay, yeah, we will make sure to do that. To get him out. U.S. representative. This is some talk from President Trump saying that the U.S. have won the war in Iraq, and whereby they never won the war there. The war still going on. Our men are still have more forces there, which is just organized. Yeah, just do so, just because they want to do something to us now. Yeah. But I thought they got him. You know why they crying? Get up, my kid. So we are still at war. Yeah. These are all expensive vehicles. vehicles. Yes. I don't know where I put the glass is. When I'm going somewhere, I always go in comfort. I always go in comfort. Always dressed to go somewhere. This is one of my vehicles. Okay. See. Okay, come on, let's go. All these cars. Yes, this is one of the cars. Oh, so many cars. Yes. You know the regular. Yes, the other representatives. So big. They wish. Yes. I left. I didn't say no. Where the last gentleman, you don't leave your glasses, you trying to get it. She's accusing you of stealing. What about they use in chat? She's accusing you of going to steal. What about that? Charm is the probably it could be the charm that made you to forget it with your glasses. But what the charm can do, the charm can maybe go to forget. You can forget about things. Oh, yes. That what the charm can do to people. So maybe she responding to the charm, responding to what the charm telling her to do. She know that we left something there. Yeah, it didn't look familiar. It looked like something that happened. We left some kind of glasses back there. She participating in the charm. All the things she do. They can be charmed involved in the things that she do. However, we wanted them to do. We wanted them to vote so they can lay their, if they be laying their own complaint. If you telling people say that they are the one causing the problem. See, all day today, they've been calling people crazy. All day today. The classes, they left the classes. Even though we call it all crazy, but we're making a lot of sense out of the craziness. I think as long you didn't do anything wrong, as long you didn't touch anybody, you didn't touch anybody, you didn't do anything to anybody. Of course, if they carry the case anywhere, they will lose. Even if they're using charm, even if they use charm, they will still lose. Or we telling them to just forget about the whole thing so that they got embarrassment, the way they're embarrassing people like this. They got just to save the embarrassment. But they got a real embarrassment. They just bring it in for people. They just keep embarrassing people. All this thing. Look like the charm can make you forget about things. Yeah, you forget. So maybe you forgot about it. She telling us she telling us that she want to steal. They want to be stealing from her, whereby they know that they're using charm. They know that she herself participating in the charm. That's why we're telling them to put a stop to the charm. The charm that they're using, and they need to put a stop to the charm first. You see, because if you put a stop to the charm, then all this accusing somebody, all the thing it will stop, because you will not be doing things like that. And then, but the reason is you see they're accusing people of taking credit card, they stealing from them, because only because something going on. Stop using the jump. They trying to play monkey sense. They want to be using the jump at the same time. Then they be telling me, be pretending. And what they call monkey sense. You be using monkey sense on somebody. You want to play smart. You want to be using the jump on somebody.
Sorry about that. I didn't hear anything.
Oh, I see. Oh, where the water came from? Oh, God. You got water problem. Water. Oh, they won't be. Yeah, then they think that monkey sense. If you want to be using the charm, then you be talking like that. They won't be using the charm on people and be telling you things like that. Using the charm on you, then they telling you, say you. Then she telling her, say we trying to steal from her. At the same time, we telling them, I said they gonna deny and correct. You embassy.
One of the most common combos that people do when they're taking Tester X is that they start stacking it with redwood.
This is a CBS News special report. I'm Gail King with Anthony Mason and Tony DeCopel here in New York. As you see, we're at the White House where President Trump is about to speak publicly for the first time since Iran's missile attack on U.S. troops in Iraq last night.
Yes, I am the representative, and I will be speaking. The president couldn't make it today. I will be speaking on behalf, first of all, the president cannot do anything about that. Yes, we can do something about that. We have sent more troops there to fight. Oh yes, and we won the war. Thank you. God bless you, and good night. Yeah, good. You talking nonsense. They be talking all kind of things. I think she just did that. She know that we just ate pizza there. And the charm there, another charm, I think it will make us to forget about the classes, which I think I can remember that something like that happened. Oh, yeah, we forgot maybe that test. They just testing the charms. We forgot some kind of glasses behind the house there. We forgot it. We left the glasses there. So now she know it, but she know what going on. Yeah, she know it, boy. Now we're going back for the glasses. Alright, cool. BBC News. Yes, we are live on
March
BBC.
1988, and more than 3,000 civilians were killed when Iraqi warplanes dropped nerve gas on the town of Halabja.
The bodies which litter this town were those of people who ran out of their houses to try to escape the gas.
2 years later, and then President of Iraq, Saddam Hussein, launched a surprise invasion of Kuwait. A huge military campaign led by the US forced him to back down. After the ceasefire, there were economic sanctions and UN inspectors appointed to oversee the destruction of chemical weapons. But Saddam Hussein didn't play along, and those inspectors soon left the country. Then there was 9/11. Within days, George W. Bush, then US president, had told his generals to plan for a possible war in Iraq.
States like these and their terrorist allies constitute an axis of evil.
The White House repeatedly tried to connect Iraq to the 9/11 attacks, though those links later proved false. Bush then hosted Prime Minister Tony Blair in Texas. Blair's critics say it was at this point he secretly agreed to go to war. He denies that. Then President Bush went before the UN to make his case for disarming Iraq by force. The British government published its own dossier saying that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction that could be ready in 45 minutes.
The intelligence picture they paint is one accumulated over the last 4 years. It is extensive, detailed, and authoritative.
The government later admitted that intelligence was faulty and the 45-minute claim was wrong. By November, weapons inspectors had been allowed back, but Saddam Hussein was thought to be stalling. After one last summit, an ultimatum was given.
Saddam Hussein and his sons must leave Iraq within 48 hours. Their refusal to do so will result in military conflict.
The conflict was over quickly, or so it seemed. Then came the aftermath. It started with looting. It quickly became an organised insurgency. Saddam Hussein was captured and executed, but that didn't stop the violence. Pictures emerged showing the abuse of Iraqi prisoners by American troops.
Our country had an obligation to treat them right. We didn't. That was wrong.
Violence between Shia and Sunni Muslims intensified. Was the surge, an extra 20,000 troops. The violence did appear to ease. The number of bombings fell. In April 2009, the UK ended combat operations. 179 British troops had lost their lives. The US withdrew 2 years later.
Iraq's not a perfect place, but we're leaving behind a sovereign, stable, and self-reliant Iraq.
Since the start of the conflict, it's thought 179,000 civilians and at least 40,000 military personnel may have lost their lives.